Well, you know, of course,
Well,
there
okay.
is, Mr. DeWitt.
Can you
but
pass that down?
Prior to my comments, I'd like to invite representation from the association leadership if they would like to come and address the board. I'd like to offer that opportunity. And Ms. Sponsor, is there anything that you would like to say? I'd like to offer both you and Miss Otto a chance to come if you'd like to come and say any words and anything else about this agreement. We've talked about the actual salary schedule a little bit. And our board has done a nice job really kind of outlining some of the tenets in the salary schedule that are important, but there were some other pieces in this contract that we are agreeing upon. And as Mr. Lydiak said, we're looking at a 2-year commitment here. So I'd like to give you the opportunity to share anything else you'd like to share, and then I'll wrap up.
Well, we would like to take the opportunity to thank you for entrusting us with this responsibility. It's an enormous responsibility, and Pat and I are fielding a lot of questions and comments and concerns about what this looks like for each individual person. And so we feel that responsibility, but we have been working together so well, and I just appreciate your trust in letting us do that. And the consensus training was a great start for that, and we have definitely built on that. And we're moving forward in a very productive way.
I would like to add that I'd also like to thank Megan for her countless hours as we talked through numbers to come up with a solution. That was a lot of time. So I know that took time away from other things you needed to do, and the association is grateful for that. Yes, Doug, I was glad you brought up the 2-year contract. I'm like, somebody please. Yeah, it is a 2-year agreement. And so as I work with Annette and her team, that if we see little things that we need to work on, that we're at a point now where we can work on little things throughout the year, and we don't have to wait till the spring to take care of those things any longer. We can do a true model of consensus throughout the year. So I appreciate that. I would like to share with the board that the membership did vote 99.2% to approve it, which is wonderful. So overwhelmingly supportive by the voting membership. And I'm extremely proud of all the work that everybody did from both teams, the support of the board to let us do the work we needed to do. And a lot of you already said the time to just talk and have those conversations. We are at a new spot. We're in a new era. And I'm really proud of all the work that everybody on the teams did.
Thank you both.
Thank you both.
Dr. Pilch.
Thank you, Mr. DeWitt. So, our tagline for the school district is engage, empower, and inspire. And we came together and we engaged with one another. We were empowered by you as our Board of Education. You entrusted us to do this work that got us to today, and we were empowered to do the work. And then I think that what we have done is truly inspirational, truly inspirational. What we bring before you this evening is unprecedented. It's unprecedented. It is work that most districts are afraid to even dip their toes into, and yet we took it on full force. So 2 years ago, I was in negotiations over my contract with Mr. DeWitt, and just right about this same week, I believe. And my phone rang late one night, and Mr. DeWitt said, we don't still have this contract worked out yet, but I'm confident we're going to, and I hope that you'll still want to come to District 6 after I tell you what I'm about to tell you. We learned this week that we are now being sued by the Colorado Education Association on behalf of our Greeley Education Association for a perceived violation of our teacher contract. And so we have a lawsuit against us, and I hope you'll still want to come as our superintendent, knowing this. And I said, thank you, I appreciate hearing it from you rather than reading it in the paper, which is why I believe he called me in advance. And I said, and I absolutely still want to come. And I'm still giving you my word, the word I gave you during my interview, which was that I would do everything I possibly could to work to repair the damage that had been done between our Teachers Association and our administration and our Board of Education. And I know I still have work to do there. I know we are not done. We still have very complex I like to call them sticky, octopus-like issues that we have to work on together. But what I know is that we came together, and we have solved one of the most difficult problems that any school district might face. And we did that through our consensus work. And the consensus work for me coming into the district wasn't just about having a new structure and protocol for negotiating and for solving employee issues. It really is about changing the culture and climate of our district. And it's work that we're going to do every single day, and we must do every single day to change the culture of our system. We also are faced with some very difficult decisions that we must make. Here in the next few weeks, the next few months, and the next few years, we don't have enough resources in District 6. And we didn't pass a mill levy override. And we're going to have to make some difficult decisions about our budget. And you know what? We're going to do much of that work through consensus work. And when we aren't able to use consensus, because sometimes someone just has to make a decision. Sometimes that person is me. When I'm not able to use consensus work to make those difficult decisions, what I know is that the previous work that we have done through consensus has laid a foundation for the relationships that will allow me to make those difficult decisions and for people in the organization to support and understand those decisions. And when they don't understand it, that they have the courage and they feel empowered enough to engage by reaching out and asking about that decision and seeking clarification on those difficult decisions. And that's really what this foundation of consensus work has been about. So I want to go back 2 years ago again, where I started, where we have a lawsuit facing us. I watched through the spring as the negotiations process 2 years ago became more and more tumultuous. And Mr. DeWitt and I, we met to have coffee, and he says, don't worry about it, they'll get through it, it's this negotiation season. It's not your fight to fight, you really need to stay out of it. And I even think somebody said at one point, you can't get in the middle of this and cause this to interfere with your transition into District 6. People are excited we've hired you, and boy, if you get involved in this negotiations, that could go badly for you, and it really could harm you in entering the district. You come in and you can start a new way next year. Well, I listened to that for a little while. and then I went to one of the negotiation sessions late at night here in this very room. I think it was 9:30, 10 o'clock. And I was watching the negotiations, and I watched the two teams, and they sat across the table from each other in that very traditional bargaining format. It's the kind of bargaining that most school districts do and have done for years. And I had one of our staff members sitting next to me who is now one of our consensus leaders in the district, and I leaned over to her, Annette Overton, our assistant superintendent now of human resources, and I said, "We're never going to get an agreement like this." And she said, "No, Dr. Pilch, I'm afraid you're right." I'm sure she thought, "Oh, what should I do about that?" And so we left that night, and we realized we were at impasse. And so I began to prepare the email that I would send to our Board of Education and to all of our staff, indicating that we were at impasse. And yet again, we would not reach an agreement on a teacher contract in District 6. And I thought, my Board of Education is yet again going to be forced to impose a contract, an action on our Teachers Association. And I'm going to start my tenure with an imposed contract with our most valued employees in the district, the ones who are in front of those students for the most hours every single day. And that's when I reached out to Mr. DeWitt, and I said, "May I try something? May I just try?" Now, here's the behind-the-scenes story that people don't know about, but I must tell it because I get to. Because this is an unprecedented night, and we only get to do this once. I'm sure this is the only time I'll ever get to do this in my career, by the way. So I'm going to take the moment. So what you don't know behind the scenes is that Miss Otto, Pat Otto, and I, the association president, had been meeting and just kind of starting to get to know each other a little bit, checking each other out. And And I just felt like there was enough of an opening there that Ms. Otto was suggesting that perhaps we could sit down and solve this problem. If maybe we were willing to just give a little bit, that she would give a little bit, and we could maybe get there. So we called a little meeting, 4 of us, and we sat in a little circle. And we talked about the things we'd already agreed on. And the negotiation teams had agreed on several things before I got involved. And we charted those things first. That was the easy part. And then we started to go around our little circle and just talk about what our worst fears were if we didn't come to an agreement. So you start with your worst fears. You got to get them out in the room. And then we talked about what our best hopes were if we could reach an agreement. What were our best hopes in reaching an agreement? And then we asked the question, what could we do that might move this forward that we have not yet suggested or not yet have tried? And that's where the conversation began. And 1 hour later, we had an agreement on that contract that had come to impasse, that would have forced our board to impose upon our teachers. And we brought that agreement forward 2 years ago in the fall of 15. And then we set about doing the very, very difficult work of actually learning to work in consensus. And our board committed to a 3-day training. Our teacher leaders committed and our administrators committed. And we went through a 3-day of consensus training. And then we tackled the difficult issue that had caused that lawsuit to be filed in the first place. And you know what? We came up with a solution. And that lawsuit went away. And that set the stage for our next negotiations. And in that negotiations, I knew that I had to find a way, we had to find a way, it wasn't all on me, we had to find a way to honor the salary contract that was in place. And I know that's why Mr. Hall is anxious about a new salary contract, because we were faced with a salary contract that cost us a great deal in District 6. And we eliminated 14 positions out of this very building to make sure that we could honor that contract and provide a pay increase to all of the rest of our classified and administrative employees. But I knew that wasn't sustainable. That was not sustainable. I did not have 14 more positions to cut this year and next year and the following year in order to honor that contract that was in place. So we set about the work of developing a new salary schedule that is actually sustainable. We've been working on that for the past year. We worked with a larger committee that identified the priorities, and those priorities were to honor our first-year teachers, our early starters in the business, to honor our employees who get more education and advanced degrees, and to really honor those degrees. And especially those teachers who go so far as to get a doctorate degree, to honor that. We have very few teachers in our system who have done that, but this new salary contract will honor if a teacher does complete his or her doctorate degree. And we knew we had to build something that is sustainable within our existing dollars, without new dollars from the state, or without a mill levy override. And I am so proud of our staff and our association leadership who were able to work the numbers and work the numbers and work the numbers until we came forward with a salary schedule that we can afford, that is right-sized to the dollars that we have in District 6. And that over time, we will actually be spending less year after year on our teacher salaries. When we started this work, oh my gosh, we would have been spending about $4 million more. And that's real, those are real dollars. And the proposal we bring before our Board of Education tonight, we're spending just a little bit more this year than what we would have spent under the old contract. And then each year hereafter, we will spend less. And that's what makes this sustainable. And we will honor our employees. And each 5 years that an employee is here, there will be a little bit of an uplift to honor them for their commitment to District 6. So at year 5, they don't decide to leave us after we have given them 5 years of our best professional development and 5 years of our best support, that they will know they're honored here and they'll stay. And so that's inherent in this salary schedule as well. I have already gotten calls from other school districts saying, how did you do this? I just had a call yesterday with a very large, very, very large district saying, talk to us about how you got here. And at the end of the call, this colleague said to me, wow, this is really sobering how much work it takes and how much commitment it has taken you to get here. And it's sure inspiring that you were able to get there. I'm really inspired by what I hear that you've done. And so I, tonight, want to close with, I am inspired by all of those who joined me in giving the circle a chance and giving consensus decision-making a chance. Not only has it made a difference in what we bring you tonight, it will make a difference in the climate and culture of our school district for years and years to come. And when our culture and climate is healthier, our students will have greater student achievement. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Thank you. It is my honor and my privilege to serve you as your superintendent of schools here in Greeley-Evans School District 6. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Pilch. Appreciate your comments. Well, we have moved and seconded, and we have discussed. And so now, Ms. Crane, I think it might be time to do the roll call.
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
Nay.
Mr. Lydiak?
Aye.
Ms. Pappas?
Aye.
Dr. Richard?
Aye.
Mrs. Solis?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-1.
So we'll record Mr. Hall's vote as a no. I think it's no. Under the, well, it's officially no. But anyway, that's the total again?
5-1.
5-1. So this item passes, and we do want to thank everybody involved in this process.
Yes,
Dr. Pilch has another urge to speak.
No, I do. I meant
I can read that face.
I meant to share this in my comments. I want to share also how disappointed Mr. Havely is that he is not here tonight to have shared his comments in person. As soon as we set
his
this,
tears.
yeah, tears, And this is literally tears. As soon as we agreed to set this meeting, and we felt like we needed to get closure on this, and really we have some big budget work we need to do moving forward in the next couple of weeks, and so we wanted to bring this to vote as quickly as we could. Mr. Hafley already had a trip out of town planned that's been planned for months and months, and he actually offered to cancel it to be here tonight, and we assured him that we would send the message of support and love, true love that he sends for all of us and for our organization and for the work we've done.
Thank you, Dr. Pilch. Appreciate that. This concludes tonight's action. This meeting's adjourned.
Can you screen the phone to make sure?